Four couples are petitioning India's Supreme Court to legalize gay marriage. 5 years ago, India decriminalized gay sex, and now some gay and lesbian couples are petitioning the Supreme Court to take the next step, legalizing gay marriage. But the government is opposed. Raksha Kumar of NPR talked to one of the same-sex couples to understand their struggle and the obstacles they have to overcome to get married. Suzan said, quote, "Whatever fears I might have had coming out, I live a good life with my family, my friends, colleagues, and neighbors. I am not in the closet anymore," end quote. Aditi Anand added, saying, quote, "There is no reason that our children should be denied the right to two parents. I want them, when they grow up, to know that their parents were brave," end quote. Though the couples are bravely coming forward to ask for what is rightfully theirs, the country's ruling party, BJP, has a different approach. BJP believes that gay marriage is a foreign concept. While the Indian LGBTQ plus community is hopeful about the future, the road seems very long. It's, again, we've talked about this in previous shows about the Indian. It's great that they progressed somewhat, that they decriminalized gay sex, but it's going to take a while for their government to move forward and accept it. And I don't know how long it's going to take them. I think it's great that they're making small inroads. It's not enough. I think it's brave that these couples have come forward and come out, because I'm sure it's at a risk to them and to their families and to their children by making that stance. But no good comes or no progress happens without those who stand up.
We have a lot of we've mentioned this in a few instances across the globe at the moment. We see incremental progress, right? And so, man, something that is just blaring loudly, and it's coming from, I don't know, the heavens maybe, but it's like stamina. Get on the treadmill and get ready, because we're going to need to have the stamina for how long this is going to take. And, I thought that we would see those changes be behind us when I got to this age. Sorry. I can only imagine what you guys are thinking, but
whoa.
No, but so I see, and I just want to make it really a point here that a lot of the younger LGBTQ plus community, they don't understand, and they're not connected to the history of our community as a whole. And when I look at what we're going to need to do to move forward, and that fight that we're going to need to bring, the stamina that it's going to take, the sleepless nights, the mobilization of people. How do you mobilize people who have no connection to what happened and where we've come? And then they see that, and they see incremental changes, and then they go, well, that's not enough. We're never going to get there. And they already start from a place of despair, as opposed to understanding that this has all been incremental progress, right? So I don't know. It gets tough.
In the Indian culture, family pressure is so harsh. And when you say they're disconnected from the community, that's because they're basically disconnected from any community that is not within their particular circle. They don't understand Stonewall. They don't have their own Stonewall. And I used to date a really great guy, Ashish, and he was from India. His whole family was from India, and most of them were over here at the time. But he was really struggling with coming out publicly because of what his family would say. I mean, in America, we've sort of learned to sort of push off the family if they're too concerned. But the politics of church and everything remain a very constant uphill battle. But they haven't even gotten to that place in India. First, you have to get past your family and the shames that are attached to it. So it's a very different situation. I would say even more dire situation.
And I think from a white perspective, we can say that. I say from a black perspective, we can say it's no different, because stigma is playing a huge role in the way you're brought up and not being able to come out, and shame. And so we see that, even locally. I think one of our frustrations is that we're revisiting gains that we thought we made, and we're defending progress that we've had, and now we're looking at the rest of the world, and they're trying to make gains, and in some ways they're doing better than we are, and having a conversation where we're in a state where, like, it seems at every turn they're pulling away our rights. So it's just not cut and dry. You know, whether you're in India or whether you're in South Florida, you know what that fight is like. And you know, we work with Miracle of Love in Orlando. You know, their fight is totally different from Broward House or from AIDS Help in Key West when it comes to the minority experience.
And I would say, I mean, pushing back just gently on Chef Josie is, I feel like young people have an interesting tenacity that some of our other generations have not. And it's also interesting you said that comment today, because today was a day of action for young people in Florida. So all across Florida, young people walked out of their colleges and their high schools protesting DeSantis and his ban on AP African American history and drag queens, all of this. Like, they are walking out. They are also living in this society where this news is coming to them very quickly. And I also feel like they're living in a society where they feel prouder and braver. So they're like, I'm walking out for my friend. Like, all of y'all can suck it because I'm walking out for my friend. Like, this is what we need to do. They're also living in this age that is, clouded by so much trauma. Like, they are seeing and living through inflation, multiple iterations of it, COVID, right? Like, they have parents that survived 9/11 or saw it happen. Like, they are feeling a lot of this trauma very immediately. And I think, pardon my French, but I feel like it's a generation to fuck around and find out. Like, we're just like, we have nothing left. Like, there will be no Social Security for us. Yeah. There will be no generational wealth. There's nothing. So all we have is to fight for right now, because otherwise we will have nothing.
There's something to learn from this generation, and that is remove fear from everything. Because what I'm going to say the government does is they try to create the fear. And like you said, those young children walked out. I remember when I was young, and some year, walking out of a school, standing up for something, it just was not a thought. So there's a lot of vigilance with this generation that I actually applaud. And I, encourage them to continue to be vigilant, and for us to just take a lesson from their book. I think that they are doing a great job of getting caught up to speed with what's going on. And they're making some very bold decisions free of the fear of what their parents are going to think. They're standing up for themselves, and I love it. One last thing.
Go ahead.
I have to ask, and it's such a, oh my God, he's talking about the Bible. I ask people, did you write the Bible? Because that's what they use against us and say, this is the reason behind the Bible says this. Did you write the Bible? Did your mama write it? Did your dad write it? Did your auntie write it? Right? So don't use that to manipulate us into doing what it is that you want us to do.
I think, to your point, that you saying that made me think of, this is also the generation that has seen so much of their life through protest. So Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter. Like, my sister went to her first protest rally with me when she was in middle school, right? So like, they are learning relearning these tactics and doing those things and being able to be comfortable. And I also think that one thing that's poignant about this story is the quote, I want them when they grow up to know that their parents were brave. Right. Not safe, not any of that, but that they were brave. And that to me gave me chills about all of our fights.
Yeah. And I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple people who work on this show. It's not their entire job, but it's part of their job. And they are from India. And they make this show happen, and some are, a couple are gay, a couple are not, but they're allies, and they work with us despite what their families might say and things like that. They were part of the only LGBTQ plus daily evening news show. And to them, I say thank you. And we absolutely appreciate you. Chef Josie, take us to church.
And I just wanted to just say one last thing about the kids. Listen, the generation, that's what they sure do have, is tenacity. The invitation is simply to understand their history. Right. So they know where to focus all that tenacity, right?
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+ community.